Hi, this lesson is about adding and subtracting polynomials. But first we need to learn some vocabulary regarding polynomials. So our first term is a monomial. So the prefix mono means one. So that is a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and or variables. The word product means expressions that are multiplied together. So examples would be -5, that's a monomial, the variable x, 2xy, that's a product of a number and variables, as well as a squared b to the seventh, that's also a product of variables. So let's move on. A binomial would be the sum or difference of two monomials. So you should have either a plus or a minus sign between expressions like the ones we talked about above. So x plus 3 is an example, 7a squared minus b squared is an example, and x cubed plus y cubed is an example. So again, bi means two, so the sum or difference of two monomials. Then we move on to a trinomial. The prefix tri means three, so it's the sum or difference of three monomials. Here are some examples: x squared minus 5x plus 6, 2a squared plus 3ab plus 7b squared, or negative x squared plus 4x minus 5. And then finally we get to a polynomial. A polynomial is a general expression for the sum or difference of two or more monomials. So it could be a binomial, could be a trinomial, or it could have more than three terms. For example, the ones I listed here, 4x squared minus 9 is a polynomial as well as a binomial. But 2a to the fourth minus 3a cubed plus 5a squared plus 7a minus 1, well, that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 monomials that are being added or subtracted. So that would be considered a polynomial. It doesn't have a special name for having five expressions. So a term is another word that's used to express a monomial in a polynomial. So for example, in this expression that I just talked about, you would say this one has five terms. You would say a binomial has two terms. You would say a trinomial has three terms, etc. So I use the word term a lot, and it's basically just one of the expressions in a polynomial. All right, so what is a degree? The degree of a polynomial is the highest exponent in that polynomial. So 3x squared minus 27, the degree here is 2. The degree associated with 27 is 0, so the highest one would be 2. Then we have this expression here, 1 plus 4x minus 3x squared plus x to the fifth. Here, the highest exponent is 5, so we say that it has a degree of 5. It is typical to write your polynomials with the highest degree first, the way we did in previous examples above. But it doesn't have to be. Like here, I wrote it backwards. I put the constant or the number first, then the variable expressions with the highest degree at the end. That's atypical, but it's not incorrect to write it like that. All right, so let's move on. What's a leading coefficient? A leading coefficient is the coefficient of the term that determines the degree. So it will be the number in front of the term or monomial that determines the degree. So in this case, this example here, my leading coefficient is 7 because the degree is 3. The coefficient of that expression is 7. And here, my leading coefficient is, I'm sorry, I circled the wrong one. Here, my leading coefficient is negative 11 because the degree is 4 and the coefficient is minus 11 or negative 11. When you don't see a number in front of it, like something like this, x squared minus 9, here the leading coefficient is just 1. So when you don't see a number written in front of the variable expression that determines the degree, it's implied to be 1. All right, so let's go on. All terms of a polynomial with a variable in it are called variable terms. And the terms that are just numbers, in other words, have no variables, are called constants. So in this example, 3x to the fourth minus 5x cubed plus x minus 8, the first three terms, 3x to the fourth, negative 5x cubed, and x are all variable terms, and the constant is the number negative 8. Notice that the sign in front of the term belongs with it. So the 5x cubed is negative, the 8 is also negative. You don't need to put a plus in front of positive ones, which is why 3x to the fourth and x are just stated like that without a plus sign. All right, so now let's get to what this lesson wants you to practice in your homework, which is to add and subtract polynomials. So to add and subtract polynomials, you must combine like terms. So combining like terms means that if you have variables, the variable terms have to be exactly the same variable, raised to the same power, and combining them means adding or subtracting the coefficients, the numbers in front of the variable. And if they are just constants, well, that just means add or subtract the constants depending on their sign. So here we're being asked to add a polynomial with 4 terms and a trinomial. So the first thing I did was organize them in a different way. So in other words, I put the 4x cubed next to the x cubed. Then I wrote the 5x to the second. That doesn't combine with anything in the trinomial. And then I wrote the negative x and the positive 3x next to each other. And then I wrote the 7 and the negative 8 next to each other. Now you're ready to add or subtract. So 4x cubed plus x cubed is 5x cubed. 5x squared doesn't combine with anything, so you just write that down. Negative x plus 3x is 2x, and 7 minus 8 is the negative 1. So you are done combining your polynomials. So remember, you are not solving an equation here. You're just simplifying the expression. All right, so now we're ready to simplify the following. I have x squared minus 7x minus 3 plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 8. So I'm going to organize this one a little bit different. The last one I did was added in a horizontal format, meaning I just organized things from left to right. But this next one is just a different way of doing it, which is to organize it in a vertical format. And you can do it any way you like, whatever makes more sense to you. So vertically means that you're going to stack them instead of writing them like this next to each other. You're going to write them on top of each other where your like terms are aligned. So I put the second expression underneath the first expression. So I have 3x squared minus 2x plus 8. And then all you have to do is add vertically. So 1x squared and 3x squared is 4x squared. Negative 7x minus 2x is negative 9x. And negative 3 plus 8 gives us positive 5. So this is your final answer. The format that you use, vertical versus horizontal, is up to you. I usually use the horizontal just because it saves a little bit more space, but it's just a matter of preference. Okay, so here's a subtraction problem. 3x to the fourth minus x cubed plus x minus x to the fourth minus 2x cubed plus 1. When you have a minus in between your polynomials, you're going to have to distribute that negative across to all of the terms in that polynomial, which is exactly what I did in this first line. So the first polynomial, I simply rewrote it, dropped the parentheses, you don't need them. And then the second polynomial becomes negative x to the fourth plus 2x cubed minus 1. Now you're ready to combine like terms. So I did this in my head. I didn't write it out like I did in the previous examples. So what I combined is 3x to the fourth minus x to the fourth, and that gives me 2x to the fourth. Then I did negative x cubed plus 2x cubed, which gives me 1x cubed. You don't have to write the 1. And then 6 minus 1 gives me 5. So your final answer is the one here in the box. All right, so here's another subtraction problem. This time I'm subtracting a binomial minus a trinomial. So again, first step is distribute the negative to the second expression. So we have 3x minus 7 minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 9. Then combine like terms. The 2x cubed does not combine with anything, so that goes first. Remember, always put the highest degree first. Then 3x minus 4x is negative x. That's what we get here. And negative 7 plus 9 gives me a positive 2. So just be careful with your signs with these problems. Okay, so here's a similar example just expressed in words. The problem is asking you to subtract x squared plus 7 from 3x squared minus 2x minus 4. So the first expression must go second. It is getting subtracted from the second expression. So you should be subtracting 3x squared minus 2x minus 4 minus that binomial, and make sure you have it in parentheses. So first distribute the negative across these two terms, which will give you this line right here, 3x squared minus 2x minus 4 minus x squared minus 7. Then combine like terms, 3x squared minus x squared is 2x squared. The negative 2x doesn't combine with anything, so you just write that down. And then negative 4 minus 7 gives you negative 11. And so that's your answer right here in the box. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. You should try the homework. Good luck.